It is the Classic Metal Show right here on theclassicmetalshow.com. That's Death Dealer, and that's called Never to Kneel. And this guy kneels before no one except his creator. And we want to welcome back to the Classic Metal Show Cage vocalist and now Death Dealer vocalist, Sean Peck. Welcome back to the Classic Metal Show there, Sean.
It's been too long. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Well, you're always welcome on this show. Chris and I are a big fan of Cage, and now we're huge fans of this new Death Dealer.
Yeah, it's been a total roller coaster ride, man. We just put the band together quick, did a really great album, and we're about to announce a real big arena tour.
Sure. Well, Sean, talk a little bit about the band coming together. When we talked to Ross, he basically put it all on your shoulders and said that it was you being social media guy that brought the band together. So talk a little bit about, not only just about how you approached everybody, but, where you got it in your head that you could, put together a super group basically off of Facebook.
Well, yeah, it was Stu Marshall, hitting me up one night. He's like, mate, we got to do a band called Death Dealer. And, he always wanted to do an album because we became kind of a good writing team together as I helped him on some songs with his Empires of Eden releases.
Okay.
And, I go, okay, well, let's, just for, grins, let's, try and get some people that are much more well-known than us if we're going to do this. So we kind of like a fantasy football team. We started throwing names around, and as we threw names around, we would actually, I'd reach out and call the people, as the name came up. First we called Mike Davis, and we're like, okay, we can't get Steve Harris or Tom Araya. Who's the next best? What's the next in line? And he had just hung out with Mike Davis, and I called him up. I'm like, you don't know me, but I need you to be in a band with me. And he's like, okay. And then next we called Rhino, and he was like, yeah, man, sounds good to me. And then I go, well, what guitar player? Well, K.K. Downing's probably a little beyond our reach. So is Ross the Boss, but let's try Ross anyways, because we have the same political leanings, and that might give me some brownie points.
You hate Obama too, huh?
We'll let the listeners figure out the math on that one. But I try and stay out of politics. I don't like to mix the politics and metal. But anyways, and it turns out Stu's, basically childhood guitar hero was Ross.
Okay.
And so I go, hey, let me hit him up. And he sent me his number. I called him, and literally within an hour of us just talking about this band, we had this incredible lineup together, and I called Stu back. I go, okay, we got this band with these guys, and I guess now we got to make a record. And Stu and I were like, oh, man, what do we get ourselves into?
Nice. Well, talk a little bit, Sean, about these songs. I mean, because Cage is still an active band, and these songs probably could have very well been Cage songs as well, with a little bit of reworking and, obviously a different flavor from the guys in Cage versus Death Dealer. But, when you were writing this music as a band, I mean, what made you think that the ideas for this song or that song fit Death Dealer better than to hold back for Cage?
Yeah, there was a couple, like the song Death Dealer itself. I mean, that chorus was, slated to be a Cage song. And the new Cage album we're working on right now is a horror concept, kind of a King Diamond thing we're working on.
Okay.
So it's luckily for Death Dealer, like anything that wasn't tied into that would have to go somewhere else. And so now Death Dealer is a recipient of, some of those other ideas, but it was a real collaboration. I mean, Stu and I kind of got the ball rolling with some of the material. And then we got on Skype. We should be sponsored by Skype. We should all have patches that say Skype on our arm when we go out and play, because that medium really allowed us to, have these jam sessions, where Ross would come up with an idea, and then, Stu and Mike and, Rhino's a great writer. And it was just the easiest album we've ever done, man. It just, the songs came together so quick, no arguments. And I just, I'm sitting with this record over a year, and I still listen to it almost once a day, and I'm not sick of it yet. And so there's just a lot of great songs, and everyone has a different favorite track off it, which is always a good sign. You know, there's not just one that they gravitate to. So it was the first time I ever really wrote an album with a bunch of different guys, and you know, all the egos were put aside, and man, we just all came together and had the same vision because we kind of liked the same style, and we were, as you can hear in the album, we mixed in a lot of styles. There's, you know, thrash, there's even a power ballad, there's, you know, the more epic kind of Man-O-War leaning ones, and then there's a little bit of rock and roll, and then a lot of, you know, the Cage, you know, speed in there too. So, well-rounded CD, and it was real easy, just great experience.
Sure. Now talk a little bit about the artwork too, Sean, because that I mean, even before I even heard the record, I looked at the art and I literally thought it was a video game. I thought it was like a Halo 6 or whatever coming out, man, because it's very video game-ish almost, which is definitely a departure for both you and Ross.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to use Mark Sasso again, who's, you know, done the last 4 Cage album that does a lot of the Dio stuff. And Mark's a total metalhead. He's the East Coast guy, so he's got that thick accent, you know, and so we were trading ideas. You know, I want this to be like a futuristic representation of, you know, complete, you know, violence and bloodshed, but yet, you know, I need to have a chick in there. I mean, literally the last move we made for the artwork was to make the chick's cleavage stand out more. So the fine details went into that, and we threw the drop ships in the back and have our, you know, War Master guy there, and it really, the response for the album cover has been incredible, man. Everyone just seems to love it, and especially the Japanese. I think that video game end of it really worked in Japan because it's sold really great in Japan.
Excellent. Well, Sean, you know, if you were just to judge this CD just by the title of the songs alone, you would think this was a concept record. Was there any thought to that at all, or did it just happen to work out that way, or is there any thread of a concept here at all, or am I just way off base?
No, I mean, you know, we have a lot of there was a lot of a desire for liberty and independence and rebellion and freedom kind of vibe through some of it. We got a little, you know, spiritual afterlife stuff with some of Children of Flames and Wraiths on the Wind, and then went with a few different, you know, kind of fantasy topics of the Death Dealer and the Devil's Mouths, like a Devil Went Down to Georgia heavy metal version. So it was kind of a different theme overall, but, you know, for all the different songs, but definitely wanted it to be, you know, very heavy metal and very much an escape, you know, when you listen to the album, which is how I like my metal. I like to just you know, stare at the album cover and just listen to this thing all the way through.
Sure. Now, you know, listening to a song like the title track, Death Dealer, and listening to your, you know, vocal abilities, I mean, there's never been a question in our minds here about your ability to do the vocals. How do you intend on doing a string of dates and be able to scream your ass off like that for anywhere from 90 minutes to 2 hours, night after night? That just seems almost impossible to me. But then again, I'm not a singer. How do you do that?
You know, God has a plan for me, and He instilled me with this superhuman voice. I mean, I'm a big comic book nerd, so when I started singing in heavy metal bands, it just gave me an excuse to dress up like a superhero and pretend that I had superpowers. And that's kind of the approach I take. And as long as you're able to, you know, to use your technique without having, you know, I did a show last night with Cage, and like the monitors were so bad I couldn't hear one single sound coming out of my voice. You're kind of like singing by braille. But if you have a system where you can, you know, hear what's going on, you know, and you take care of yourself, I got a little bit of a technique. You know, you get out of your wet clothes, you don't talk till the next day, drink lots of water, and that has served me well, you know, on my tours. I've been able to not have to cut back or not have to sing anything in a lower octave and hit all the extreme, you know, sea mammal notes that everyone loves.
Well, you know, listening to this record and just listening to the you know, the merciless onslaught of your vocals is just, you know, just overwhelming. You know, obviously you can do everything and anything in a studio situation, but how you bring that out live, that in itself is just a feat in itself.
Yeah, the hard part is when I make the song where there's so much singing overlapping, where you literally need like 3 guys to get it all out. But that's why, I get the backing vocal guys, to chime in on one little part that'll allow me a millisecond to, regroup and attempt the next note. Everyone freaks out on that first, big long scream in Death Dealer, and we had to put out a video to show, that wasn't some studio trick or something. And I was like, that scream, it's got so much attention. It was literally the first take. I tried it. I'm like, what should I do here? And I just turned on the mic, and I was sitting down when I did it, and I just I listened back to it. I'm like, oh man, that's pretty good. I don't even think I need to redo that. And I sent it to Stu. He's like, mate, let me put some compression on it. And he put some delay and compression on it, and that scream has served us well, because when we released, we announced that Death Dealer was a band, we put out 3 little 30-second snips, and that was one of the snips we put out, and we had 17,000 hits to the website in the first hour, and we were like, okay, I think we're off to a good start here.
Excellent. Well, Sean, you're a hard-working guy. I know you give, 110% to your band Cage, and now this Death Dealer. And, Cage isn't a household name, unfortunately, but, you go out there and work it, to your heart's content. How angering is it to you to go out there and give the fans everything that you got, and then you see a David Lee Roth who has a, arena full of people, and he won't even get up there and try?
When you're in this genre of metal, you can't let that stuff get you. I do it because I love it. I love performing, and like the show we played last night was like a small place, but it had 150 just freaks packed in there, and it was the true metal spirit was so invigorating. Even though it was only 150 people, but it was just mosh pit, stage diving, arm in arm, just banging their head the whole time. So it's that experience and it's that emotion that it invokes in all of us is why why I still do this. And I can't, Justin Bieber get up there, you sit there and you watch half of the American Idol or The Voice, you're just sitting back in your living room going, man, I could kill all these people. What I should really try it. But I'm in it for the love and the glory of the steel, and Death Dealers bring in a lot of new opportunities because there's obviously some well-known guys in the band, and it's really brought a lot of attention to me. People that didn't know me or didn't know Cage now are getting a chance to experience what it's all about.
Definitely. Now, Sean, working with Ross, and certainly Ross is an icon, and there's nobody going to argue battle hymns or Kings of Metal or whatever are not just iconic metal albums, and certainly they're one of the main reasons they're so iconic is because of Ross's playing. So now that you're actually in a band with Ross and you see how he works, and you understand now how he writes versus your voice, what do you do differently now with Cage? How do you not, I guess my question is, how do you not go back to Dave when you're working on Cage music and say, dude, no, do it this way. This is more like I just did, with Ross.
Well, it's really pretty similar because, it's that genre, heavy metal. So I don't, just delineate so far between the two. It's been really cool getting to know Ross, and playing Hail and Kill live with him is just awesome, man. To see those people, we only played 4 live shows so far, but every time we busted that out, the people there's just electricity in the air, and it was cool to get to be a part of Ross's legacy and kind of learn what it was. Because I was kind of a Manowar. I didn't really know the whole Manowar thing that well. And now, Stu was just like, mate, he had to give me some education. And then Ross, just as a person, he's so enthusiastic about it. You've already interviewed him. He is just all about Death Dealer. And I got to get him to par down on the praise for me because he just keeps going around going, Sean's the best singer in the world. I'm like, dude, man, you got to freaking tone that back. You're putting too much pressure on me, man. Too much pressure.
Well, he didn't say that to us, Sean. I don't know what happened, but he didn't. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know. But I hung out with him for 2 weeks, and we got in the same room, and I think those rehearsals we had, I don't think I ever sang better in my life, and it must have been just because, okay, I'm standing next to Ross the Boss. I gotta really bring everything I got, and I'm excited because he's written a couple new tracks for the next record that I just love. I'm like, this is so good. I mean, this has got to have been done before. It's like, no, Sean, I'm Ross the Boss. This is what I do, and it's just the future looks bright, man. And I couldn't be in a group with nicer guys. All the guys in the band are just so cool as human beings too, and that just makes it so much better.
Well, Sean, do you think this takes off for you, this Death Dealer takes off for you, do you think it'll hurt Cage at all, or do you only think it'll just help them?
It'll only help. I mean, we just got an order on the Cage website of a guy that bought like everything we had. It's like I never even knew about Cage until I heard the Death Dealer thing. So yeah, it's definitely a crossover. And like I said, I mean, people didn't know who Cage was or who I was, that are all about the Death Dealer thing, and they're going and checking out the catalog. So it's and all the Cage guys are totally supportive too, which is really refreshing. There's no like jealousy or weirdness. They're all like, yeah, man, it's great, because it's only going to give more exposure to our 6 CD catalog, and it's real exciting, man. And we're loving it, and so far we've done it right. And like I said, I think next week we're going to announce it like a massive arena tour, which is going to be the biggest thing I've ever done.
Sure, excellent. Well, great, Sean. Well, since we got you on the show with us, and you're part of this new Death Dealer, and of course Cage, why don't you go ahead and throw all the plugs out there for both entities and anything else you want to talk about?
Well, Death Dealer, it's deathdealer.co, because deathdealer.com, I think they wanted $17,000 for the domain name, so we went with .co. We had to sacrifice it. Great website. It's got all the stuff there to order. The Ultimate Warrior pre-order pack, which did amazingly well. It's just packed full of autograph stuff and stickers and pics and stuff. And then any kind of social media / Death Dealer band. We love talking to people on Facebook, and it's been a great medium for us, like you said earlier. And then cageheavymetal.com, and I think it's Cage official page or on Facebook. And thanks for having me on the show, guys. It's been great, man. I love talking to you guys. You guys are the pros.
Yeah, man. we are pretty much the shit, Sean. That's what everybody that's what everybody says about us,
I mean, why be humble? It's not, it's one of my weaknesses is being humble.
Sure. Well, Sean, we always let the artist pick a closing song from the new release. So far, we played the Death Dealer, Never Kneel, and Triumph and Victory. So what should we play, and maybe tell us a quick story about it?
Okay, we got to play Curse of the Heretic. This is the one where I said, if we're going to do an album, I got to show my King Diamond side, and that's got sounds like an old Merciful Fate song in the middle of the track. So that's definitely one of my favorites, and bust that thing out. And thanks for having me. I'll talk to you guys later.
All right, excellent. Well, here it is. This is new Death Dealer, and this is the Curse of the Heretic exclusively here
on your Classic Metal Show.